I started surfing when I was around 6 years old. My dad took me to the beach and he was all stoked because he grew up surfing. But when he first took me surfing, he pushed me in this wave and I went nose first with my board in the shore break. And my dad was like frightened, but like kind of laughing because it was funny seeing this kid get smoked on the inside. But luckily I didn't remember that and he kept taking me out after that. I grew up a really squirrely kid. I was like a total little surf punk growing up, or just like a lot of work for my parents, and they loved me so well, and they taught me about Jesus, and that laid the foundation. So when I gave my life to Christ, it was such a refreshing experience for me, and then also for them, because they're like, oh, Will's gonna like find his prayers, like hopefully he settles down. So I actually did. I got a lot mellower. So I got to freshman year of high school, and I was at a point in my faith that was pretty legalistic, and I grew up with all my friends. We grew up surfing, playing sports together, and they started making decisions of whether like partying, looking up things inappropriate on the computer, like all that stuff. It was obviously out of love, but I wanted to tell them like, hey guys, like this is how we're called to live. I was just always telling them like, hey, don't do that, like we shouldn't do that. And it really like set my friends like off. They didn't like me when I kind of grew into my faith. I was pretty bullied for my faith. So kids would make jokes, spread rumors, pretty demeaning and defeating time, and they're just tearing me down constantly. So that's when I slipped into the season of not wanting to go outside, and I would get afraid in bigger social settings because I'm like, what is everyone thinking about me? So yeah, I was in a dark spot. I didn't feel loved, and I was wrestling with like the thought of how could God be there for me if I'm trying to serve him and I'm loving him with everything I have, and now all I feel is surrounded by lies. I struggled with anxiety and depression growing up, so it would kind of trigger that, and then I would go down a rabbit hole. I stopped going to school for a little bit, kind of quit surfing. I would just sit home, kind of sleep. So yeah, when the depths of depression were surrounding me, I would always think like, God, is this something that is forever? Is this something that I'm gonna have to deal with every like waking breath? And I was like, I don't want to do that, God. That's brutal. So it was one day in particular I was struggling really, really hard, and my mom's like, you really need to get in the water. I was in a really bad spot. She's like, I'm gonna call Kevin Dean. And so Kevin Dean, or as I call him Dino, was one of my mentors growing up. He would always show up, and no matter what, I'd be pissed and I'd be rude to him too, and he'd just like put on that smile and he'd be like, dude, I love you. Like, you don't show up to a kid who's just being a turdy all the time and do that out of just like, I'll just go and hang out with him. Like, it was his love for Christ that he was pouring out into me. He's all stoked, like trying to talk to me about my day. I'm super despondent, like don't want to talk to him. We get down to the beach. The waves were terrible. It was like 2-foot closeouts, and I was just bogging the entire session. So I just got more frustrated, more anxious, and I just felt like the consuming doubt, fear, depression just like circling in on me as I was walking up the beach. Internally, it just felt like someone was tearing inside my head. As a little kid who didn't know how to process any of this, I didn't tell anyone what was going on for like 2 years. I kept all this stuff in. And Kevin comes over to give me a hug, and I shove him against the wall, and I sprint out, and I was just like thinking to myself, no one loves me. Kevin doesn't care for me. My mom doesn't care for me. God doesn't love me. God, where are you? Why have you forsaken me? And I realized, like, where am I running? And as soon as like I started to process what I'm doing and what just happened, like I shoved one of the guys that loved me and I loved. Like, I looked up to Kevin so much, and I just shoved them away. And I turn around and I see Kevin walking down the stairs, still smiling, like not mad at me whatsoever. And Kevin comes up to me, and he literally just says like, where are you running? With like the biggest smile and the softest tone of just straight truth and love in that sentence. I call this the Psalm 139 story. So I just saw it as Kevin's always gonna chase me down and love me. My parents are always going to. These mentors, these people that love me are always gonna chase me down and love me. And then I just thought like, how much greater is God and his character and his love for me. It's always gonna pursue me, and it's always gonna chase me down. And God really put on my heart that his power, God's power, is made perfect in our weaknesses, and that he loves to use those weaknesses. He loves to use the parts of my story. I'm like, God, that's so dark. You want to use that? Like, God's like, I love that part of you. I love to use broken people.